Hey everybody, welcome to OP Nation, that is Orange Perspective Nation. I'm here with Adam, and I don't have a lot of caffeine. I'm hoping that you can carry the conversation.
I've got all the caffeine, so don't worry.
All right. Adam, why are you here?
Well, good question, Jason. Aren't we all asking ourselves that often?
Nope.
Well, you should. And then you maybe have some caffeine. I am here because I work for Vinaigrette, and I am the operations director for Vinaigrette. So we're working hard to open new locations and make Vinaigrette great. And how did I get here? If you're going to ask me that question,
You just ask the questions and then answer them, and it'll be perfect.
Jason has no caffeine, so I'll ask my own questions and answer them. Good question, Jason.
I'll just sit here.
Okay. I started with Orange Leaf actually about 6 years ago. Through a friend of a friend, got a text message from Bryce that said, hey, do you want to interview for this job? And met Jason the next morning to do an interview, and I wooed him apparently enough to get a job as the manager at the Orange Leaf in Richmond, Kentucky, and did well enough there and figured some things out. And when Vinaigrette opened, I started traveling up to Lexington to try to figure out what we were doing there. We didn't know what we should put the salad in, how we should make it, how it should look at the end. And so really worked on a lot of the processes there for a couple years. And while Breakout was kind of blowing up and everybody was going in that direction, I was over there at Vinaigrette and just really figuring things out. And now we're at a point with Vinaigrette where we're trying to blow it up. So here I am.
What have you learned in leadership over the last 5 years?
I've learned a lot in leadership. I have learned leading by example is really important. I've learned a lot from Jason just on leadership style. And
that is not why I asked this question.
Well, no, it isn't why he asked. Maybe it is, I don't know. But I've learned a lot about empathy, about understanding other people's feelings, where they're coming from, their perspective. Not just assuming that people are idiots or don't want to do their job well. That's probably the biggest thing I had to learn in the beginning. I kind of just barreled a lot of people over in the beginning, and that didn't go so well as a manager, but was able to kind of get that feedback. And that's, I think, my main thing is being able to step back and say, okay, what's actually going on here and what's most effective to move everybody forward.
Good. Books, authors that have influenced you?
Oh, man. I love to read a lot of Audible because I drive from Richmond back and forth every day.
And for you that don't know, Richmond is about, 45 minutes?
Yeah, I have a 35-mile drive. It takes me like 32 minutes from my house to the warehouse here, so I can knock out some Audible books when you listen to them quickly. I think Setting the Table, I think everybody's read that book, Danny Meyer. That book's been really helpful for me lately. For us at Vinaigrette as a whole, especially being in the restaurant industry, he kind of marries service hospitality really well. That one's been really, really exciting for me. And then I've actually ran in some podcasts with him in it recently as well.
Which podcast? Just so everybody can know.
It is CXYZ is the name of the podcast. It is a customer service podcast, and he was the first guest. That's the one most recently that I thought was really fun. And we used that in our manager meeting I think we actually grew in 1 week just by listening to that podcast, so it was really helpful. I listen to a lot of fiction as well. Right now I'm listening to a book called Scythe, and it's on Audible. It's basically, I'll tell you as quickly as I can, we're in the future, we've cured every disease, death does not exist, so there's a group of society called Scythes, and their job is to go around and choose people who are killed, because all the population has done now is grown with no death. And so there's two young high school age students that are chosen as apprentice to these Scythes, and they're going around. It's really interesting. It's really really fun. Jimmy also is listening to it at the same time, so I like that book.
Jimmy also has a really long drive.
Jimmy has a significantly longer drive than I do.
If you add it all up, maybe not.
No, maybe not.
He didn't drive it every day.
He does it once a week.
He does.
And he got a flat tire this week.
That's right. Poor Jimmy.
Poor Jimmy.
We feel bad. Anything else you'd like to tell the OP Nation?
Well, Ben wrote on this forum here that Jimmy beat me in golf by 1 stroke, and the main question on there was, did Jimmy cheat? He did not.
He did not cheat?
He just beat me.
He beat you by 1 stroke?
By 1 stroke.
You know, rumor has it that Jimmy also beat Bryce in 2 games of ping pong, but I cannot confirm that.
I would be shocked if that was true.
Well,
I played Bryce and Jimmy in ping pong.
One is significantly better than the other.
Did Bryce have both hands?
All right, well, there you have it. Maybe the rumor is not true. Thanks
Sorry,
for joining
Jimmy.
us today, Adam.
No problem. Thanks for having
And
me.
we appreciate you being a part of everything that we do. It's great. Also, hope you like my new haircut. And that's all we got.